In this episode, I'll be telling you how the subconsciously created stories that you tell yourself and other people are driving your manifesting outcomes. So let's get started.
Hi, I'm Katie, and after many years as a struggling single mum, I transformed into a highly successful manifester with multiple businesses, better relationships, financial abundance, and way more peace, joy, and happiness in my life. Each week, I share the real secrets around how to manifest successfully, as well as the amazing and sometimes crazy lessons I've learned along the way, so that you can apply it all to your own manifesting, transforming your life from the inside out. This is That Manifesting Podcast.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of That Manifesting Podcast. My name's Katie and I'm here with you every Wednesday to share some manifesting insights, goodies, thoughts, feelings, all of that jazz about manifesting, telling you what it really takes to manifest the life that you want. I'm known for working with single people and solo parents to manifest the life that maybe felt impossible up to now. If you're neither of those things, maybe you're in a happy relationship and you've got no children, then you are still more than welcome to join us every Wednesday. You'll still get value out of what we talk about. But I am known for working with people who maybe don't have another adult to talk to or to share their dreams with. So welcome, whoever you are and wherever you're here, welcome. So you may have noticed that I've been away for a couple of weeks, or maybe you haven't noticed. Maybe you've been too busy with your own lives to notice whether Katie's doing her podcast or not. I don't know. But anyway, I haven't been here for a couple of weeks, and that was very intentional. I just felt like I needed a break. You know, when you just feel exhausted and you just getting up in the mornings a little bit harder than it normally is, and feeling motivated is a little bit tougher than usual. That's always my sign that I need to take a bit of time out. I'm very fortunate that I work for myself, so when I do need that break, I can take that break. So that's exactly what I've been doing. The past couple of weeks, I have binge watched every episode of Succession. How good is that, by the way? Loved it. I've ate food that I shouldn't have eaten. I'm a big junk food fan, so I just allowed myself a couple of weeks just to eat and watch rubbish TV and just recharge my batteries. So that's where I've been. I hope you've had maybe more of a productive couple of weeks than me, but it's lovely to be back anyway. So before we get into the topic of today's podcast, which is all around the stories that we tell ourselves and how they impact our manifesting outcomes, I want to introduce a little new feature. Whilst I was laying on the sofa, I was thinking about other things that I could add to the podcast, because I'm all about bringing the fun, bringing the laughs, and I don't want this to feel like a dreary podcast that's boring and teaching you stuff but it's not very fun to listen to. So I'm introducing something new, and it's called the Wednesday Whinge. And this has come about because of a very specific reason that, believe it or not, does actually relate to manifesting. So I notice a lot online that a lot of manifesting experts almost portray this feeling that you have to go through life floating through the air on a cloud of positivity. You can't let anything affect you. You can't have any down days. You can't feel negative about anything. And quite frankly, that's crap. It's just manifesting. That's not what manifesting is about. And if you think any human can live their life without feeling irritated by something, without feeling down about something, without whatever, then you're always setting yourself up for failure. Let's just say it like that. So I firmly believe, and I teach my students, that if you feel annoyed by something or something really irritates you and you can't let that go in the second it happens, then you should actually give it space just to come out. Just get it out, feel the feelings, get irritated, but don't live in that place. So have your moment and then move on from it. And I'm just conscious that every week in the podcast, it's been quite positive intentionally, but actually maybe it's not as reflective as the real journeys through life that we all have. So that's why I thought I would introduce something that I do in my own life, which is I allow myself every single day to have a few minutes to get really annoyed about something that's on my mind. Once those few minutes are up, I then have a promise to myself that I will move on from it and just, crack on with my day, manifesting, feeling great. So as we're only together every Wednesday, that's why I've called it the Wednesday Whinge. I want you guys to get involved in this. I want you to send me your Wednesday whinges. So you can do that by connecting with me on social media. You can send me a DM. You can find me under the username The Manifesting Mindset on all the social media platforms. Or you can send me an email, whatever you want to do. All the ways to get in touch with me are included in the show notes. So yeah, please send me your Wednesday whinges, because I don't want this just to be an opportunity for me to share with you. I want to hear from you too, and we can just get it off our chests and then move forward with love and light and positivity. So my Wednesday whinge is traffic. And this has been something that has been my daily whinge for the past few weeks, and for a very specific reason. So my daughter's all grown up now, and she's got her own place, and she lives about 30 minutes away from me. And recently she's been learning how to drive. So I have every single day driven to pick her up, bring her back to my house so she could go off for her driving lesson, and then taken her back home and then driven back at the end of the day. So I think that's why I felt so tired and in need of a break, because of all of that driving. But the route I need to go on to get to her house has had traffic works going on. So what's normally 2-lane traffic has had to go down to 1 lane in certain parts. Now, if you're a driver, you will know that when they section parts of the motorway off, they put cones on the road so it gradually filters you into 1 lane of traffic. And that's what's been happening. Now, any normal road user will, as soon as they see cones approaching, they'll start to merge at that point. But there's been people that insist on driving like bat out of hell straight up the side to get as far to the front as they can, and then they just push in. Like, they don't even wait for you to say, yeah, sure, come in front of me and take my place. They just push in, and the rage that I have felt. Not so much with people just doing that, because you think, okay, maybe they didn't know that this was going to go down to 1 lane, whatever. It's the rudeness when you let people in and they don't even put their hand up to say thank you. I mean, is it really that much effort just to put your hand up and say thank you for letting me in, when I was an absolute tool and drove right down to the front to try and push in? So I've experienced that every single day, up to 4 times a day for 2 weeks. So it had become a bit of an overwhelming whinge. And I do not like to admit it, but I am a shouter in the car. But I'm a careful shouter, because I would never want someone to try and start a fight with me or something. So I am one of those people. I put my head down and I shout at the steering wheel where the person in front can't see me shouting in their rear view mirror. So I shout, but I also have a firework temper. So something will make me absolutely livid for around 5 seconds, and then it's like all of that has just exploded, and then it's gone, and then I feel totally calm again. So yeah, I feel better for that. That's my Wednesday whinge: traffic and rude drivers. So if you have a Wednesday whinge that you want to share with me, it can be as petty as you like, but just something that you just want to get off your chest so you can move forward in positivity with your manifesting, then get in touch and I will share yours in future episodes. Okay, so on to the topic of today's podcast, which is storytelling and the power of storytelling in your manifesting outcomes. So these stories are things that often will reveal themselves as off-the-cuff comments, or sometimes niggly but fleeting thoughts that you might have about something that you want to manifest. So what I thought I would do is I would share a story with you about how storytelling impacted something that I wanted to manifest, just so you can maybe relate to it and see how this could be present in your life too. So a few years back, I decided that I wanted to manifest a relationship. I felt ready to fall in love. I felt ready to meet my person. So I did what I would advise people to do, which was to think about who did I want to meet? How did I want to feel in the relationship? And really just let the universe do its thing and bring that person to me. Well, I met that person, and initially I was just so excited. You know when you meet somebody and you just have that feeling when you first meet them that this could be something special. And when they text you, your stomach lurches, or when you're around them, you just get those butterflies, and it just feels like something stronger than you've ever known before. That's how I felt with this guy. And we went out on a few dates, and our values were aligned, and we just connected on a level I've never experienced before. And it was just magical, and I just loved it. But here's the thing. If you've listened to previous episodes, you'll know that I've had a difficult journey with love myself, and I've had a lot that I've had to overcome due to past relationships. And what I very quickly found was, although I totally manifested this guy and he was exactly what I was looking for, the stories that started to come up to myself came up in the way of thoughts. And those thoughts were things like, this is probably too good to be true, or when's this going to go wrong, or this isn't like a normal relationship. What's happening here? Why is this not crap? And they were fleeting thoughts, but actually what I know now is those were underlying subconscious stories. Now, these stories also came out when other people were talking to me. So I was working in an office at the time, and the girls that I was working with, we sort of would have our daily chats and we'd share everything that was going on in our lives. And I told them about this guy, and I sort of started off when I first met him, and I was gushing about how amazing he was. And I think this is the one, girls, I've been single so long, I think this is the guy. And then I found after our first date, when I went into work, they were sort of so keen to hear about how I'd gotten on. And I said to them, the first thing I said was, yeah, it was okay. I don't think it will last though. And as soon as I said it, I thought, where did that come from? Because that's not how I feel whatsoever. I passed it off as maybe I'm just trying to play it cool because I don't want to act as if, I'm like, too keen. But it started happening more and more. So when I would see him again, and then I'd go into work the next day and they'd say, oh, how was your date? And I'd just go, yeah, it was all right. I'm not sure how long this is all going to last. But it's nice for now. I was really playing it down. And again, I still kept thinking I was just sort of styling it out, so I didn't show how keen I was. And this continued for the time that we saw each other, which was a few months. And I was due to see this guy. We were supposed to go on a date. And I messaged him to make the arrangements. And he just totally ignored me. Like, totally ignored me. And I thought, what the hell? What's gone on here then? So I tried to ring him and he didn't answer the phone. And I tried to text him one more time and he'd blocked me for no reason. There was no argument, nothing. He'd just disappeared. And to say I was devastated and heartbroken is an understatement. I was absolutely mortified. It was like all of my dreams and my hopes and everything, all of that I'd pinned on this guy all came crashing down. And it took me a long time to get back into the headspace of being able to analyse what had happened in that relationship. And when I spoke to my mentor at the time, he said, I don't know what you're questioning this for. You've got everything that you put out. Everything that you set out to manifest is what you got. And I said, no, that's not true. I wanted to manifest a long-term relationship. And he said, no, you didn't. You started off by being very intentional with who you want to manifest. And that's exactly who you got. But then you set out to self-sabotage it. You were putting the thoughts out with the beliefs that this was going to go wrong and this was not going to last, and what was wrong with him? Something must be wrong with him. So why are you questioning it? Because that's exactly what you got. And in that moment, I realised that I had totally self-sabotaged everything. And I had done that through the power of the stories that I was telling myself and that I was telling the people around me. And it's become a very big topic that I talk to people about when I'm working with them one-to-one, because you can often find that on the surface, people feel very, very confident about something that they want to manifest. But it's those seemingly off-the-cuff comments that really tell the story about what's happening underneath. So that's really a big part of what I wanted to talk to you about, is the difference between recognizing what your conscious mind is putting out into the world in terms of positive stories versus what your subconscious mind is actually manifesting for you in terms of those off-the-cuff comments and thoughts that you seem to be having. So the subconscious mind, as you know, if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you will know that I bang on about this all the time. But your subconscious mind is the powerhouse of your manifesting ability. It's shaped and by your beliefs, it's shaped by behaviours, and it always operates below your conscious awareness, which means that your subconscious mind is often manifesting things based on your beliefs and behaviours that you don't even realise are your beliefs, and you don't know why you're behaving in that way. So it's almost like, when it comes to storytelling, it's almost like your subconscious mind is like a hidden director of your life, and it's based on the stories that you reinforce to yourself. Now, the conscious mind is a bit like, it's like having a marketer of the movie that the subconscious mind is working through. So have you ever watched a crap film and it looked really great from the trailers and the adverts? Well, that's because they pick the best parts to share with the world. And that's exactly what your conscious mind does. So when you're positively, or think you're positively thinking about something, it's because your conscious mind is just picking out the best parts to talk about. So with me, it was things like, oh, this is great, love this date, this guy's wonderful, I really fancy him, he's so hot, I think I love him. But underneath that, the real movie was the subconscious story, which was, you don't feel like you're worthy of this. Something's going to go wrong, because it always does go wrong. This is not meant to last. And that is what happens. So I just thought that might be a useful way to think about it. So yeah, the subconscious mind is the actual movie. Some parts are great, some parts might be crap. The conscious mind is the movie marketer. So it's actually only selecting the best parts to show other people. But suddenly, every so often, that subconscious mind will just release a little snippet of something that really tells the truth about what the movie is all about and what's really going on. And here's the interesting thing. So these stories don't even have to be about major things in your life, like manifesting love or manifesting money. You can unknowingly reinforce limiting beliefs through like casual remarks or self-deprecating humour. I'm queen of doing this. One of the things I'm very well known for with all of my friends is that I easily get lost when I'm driving. Okay, it's always been a running joke. If I get lost, or used to get lost, driving in the same town that I live in, I would find it really hard to find people's houses without a sat nav. And if you lived where I lived, you would know that it's not that difficult to find your way around. But somehow I always managed it. And one of the things, whenever I met new people, I would always talk about how rubbish I was with direction. And I would always say, oh, I get lost everywhere. No matter where I'm going, I always get lost. And it was just a self-fulfilling prophecy, because although on the surface it was just like a conversation starter, because I did have some extremely funny stories about me getting lost, ending up in fields, I kid you not, driving down the wrong motorways, all of this stuff. It became like a conversation starter for me. But actually what I was doing was unknowingly reinforcing a limiting belief that I always get lost when I'm driving. So a few years back, I think it was 2019, I decided to buy a new car. And it wasn't a brand new car, but it was new for me. And it was the newest car I'd ever owned. It was only a few years old. And I bought the car and I said to myself, I'm not going to get lost anymore. I'm going to feel more confident driving this car. I just had this belief that this car was going to change the way that I drove and I was going to feel way more confident. And I kept my old car, which was like a battered old Jeep, but I loved it. And so I kept that car as well. And interestingly, I didn't have that story with the car about not getting lost in that car. It was all about the new car. I'm going to be an excellent driver when I drive this car, and I'm going to go where I need to go and get there first time, yada, yada, yada. And here's what's really interesting. When I drove the new car, I never got lost. And still to this day, in that car, I have never got lost, ever. When I drive my old car, because I have that feeling of all those times I got lost and I just fall back into that pattern, I still get lost when I drive that car. And that's what's really interesting, is because what felt to me just like casual throwaway comments about getting lost actually became a limiting belief, which then became a habit in my subconscious mind, which then meant I manifested more of it. And obviously that's not anything that has major consequences, getting lost, but it's just fascinating how you can hold two different stories and manifest both at the same time. So I was able to manifest successfully driving my new car without getting lost, whilst also successfully manifesting getting lost all the time in my old car. So yeah, that was just, another little tangent that I just thought I would share about how stories can be right in front of you sometimes and you don't even realise that they're there. So if you find that in your life, maybe you're saying phrases like, oh, I'm always broke by payday, or I've always got loads of things that I have to pay for, or maybe you're like me and when it comes to relationships, you think, oh, I always get ghosted and all of that jazz, then that could be a really good indicator of the stories that are actually driving your manifesting results. And you could be unknowingly perpetuating that scarcity mindset and actually stopping abundance from manifesting in your life. So if you want to transform these stories, then the first step is just awareness. Like we've spoken about here today, it's about being aware and mindful of the things that you're saying and what you're actually putting out into the world. So one thing that you could try is having a journal that you just write down your honest thoughts and feelings about certain things that you want to manifest. Not the things that you think you should be saying, but those little lingering thoughts that crop up, or think about what you say to other people about what you want to manifest. Because once you write this down and then you look back at it, quite often you'll start to see a very, very different story from what you think you're putting out into the world. once you do change the way that you share your stories, when I say the results can be phenomenal, I'm not even joking. So one of my clients, she wanted to manifest a certain amount of money, and her narrative before working with me was that it wouldn't happen. She was not the kind of person that would ever say win the lottery or get a lump sum of money. And that was the story that she would automatically put out to other people when they were talking about money. On the surface, she felt like she could manifest the money that she wanted, but she had an exact sum that she actually wanted to manifest. And when we'd worked together for a little while and we'd reshaped the stories that she was telling people, and that she was more so telling herself, she manifested the exact amount of money that she needed by way of a lump sum from a family member that was totally unexpected. She didn't ask for it. She just got gifted it. And that happened a few months, I think, might have been a little bit longer than that, after we'd started working together. And she was gobsmacked that it happened. And I remember her getting in touch and saying, I didn't tell you at the time that we were working together on this. I didn't tell you the exact amount that I wanted to manifest, but I'd written it down and I knew. And she was just blown away that it actually happened. But that's how powerful your subconscious mind is. That's how powerful the stories are that you tell yourself, and what you can manifest or not manifest depending on what stories that you tell yourself. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And if you've got friends that are maybe aware of manifesting and are trying to also manifest a dream life, then obviously get them to come and listen to the podcast. But what you could also do is you could challenge each other to help you up your game when it comes to the stories that you tell yourself. You can play a fun game, and it's where you can catch each other on the negative storytelling that you have. So when things crop up, you could even have some forfeits. I mean, I would love to see that in action. So if you do any sort of maybe you do a drinking game, you'd have to take a shot every time you share a negative story. I don't know. But there's fun ways of doing it. And this isn't meant to tell you that you're doing things wrong. This is really, everything I do through these podcasts is really to help your awareness and just to help you identify things that could be working against you, or things that you could do differently that would really help you to up your manifesting game. It's my intention that every single person that listens to this manifesting podcast is able to manifest what they want. That's my intention through everything that I do. So if you do have anything that you want to share on a future, you want me to talk about, or you want to share for a future episode, please do get in touch with me, because I absolutely love hearing from you. So that's it really. I think the last thing that I really wanted to say is I have got a couple of slots that have opened up for one-to-one manifesting clients. I've just taken on one client. I only take on 2 or 3 at a time, purely because it's quite mentally draining for me and spiritually draining, so I have to protect my energy. But I do have a couple of slots that have opened up because 2 of my recent people they don't need me anymore. That's always my aim, is to get people to a place where they don't need me anymore because they know what they're doing and they've become master manifestors themselves. So if one-to-one manifesting mentoring from me is something that you might be interested in, then please go ahead and DM me on social media or connect with me via email. As I've said, the email address is in the show notes. But other than that, please be aware of your stories. Don't use self-deprecating humour as a way to connect with people, because unknowingly you're reinforcing limiting beliefs about yourself and projecting more of that into the universe. And I don't want that for you. I want you to manifest everything that you ever dreamt of.
So that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed listening, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe and leave a review, because it really does help me to reach more people. I've left some links in the show notes so you can connect with me, or you can grab one of my manifesting resources. Until next week, sending you lots of love, light, and manifesting vibes.